Thank you so much, Michelle, for being here. I am like so pumped and so excited to hear about this launch that happened to you. But before we get into like your launch, can we get a little bit of background about like who you are, what you do, and all the awesome stuff?
Sure. My name is Michelle Berry, and I created a course called the Kitchen Witch Energy Shift. This course was based on, it's a tough one to talk, like to explain, because it's all about energy and how I shifted my energy in my kitchen to go from hating being in my kitchen, hating cooking, to just so happy, so magical. I love witch energy. Like I love everything about witchiness and witch energy. And I use tarot cards and I use pendulums, but I'm also a practical magic person where I learned about plant-based cooking 7 years ago. And I fell in love with the energy of plants. And it was just,
One second. I'm going to interrupt you because I get really curious. Why did you get into plant-based to start off with?
oh my gosh, this is a funny story, actually. I'm an accidental vegan, accidental plant-based person. Back in 2016, it was New Year's Day. My husband loves to do health challenges. So New Year's Eve, we stayed in, we watched Forks Over Knives. It's a documentary about plant-based eating. He fell asleep. I love documentaries, so I was watching it intently. And he woke up at the end, and I said, that was really interesting. And he said, let's do it. Let's do it for 30 days. I said, you're crazy. You're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. This is hard stuff. It's Michelle, we can do anything for 30 days. Don't make a big deal. And meanwhile, he fell asleep. He doesn't even know what vegan was. So he'd be like, he'd have yogurt and be like, can I have this? I'm like, no, no, like, no. So
Yeah, we can do anything, right? As long as I can have
yeah,
my yogurt.
anything. He didn't know what. So I started scrambling because I thought I was going to die from going vegan. I thought like, I'm going to faint. I'm going to shrivel up. I'm like having like heart palpitations. Like, how is this going to happen? So I did a ton of research. How are we going to survive? I love eating. I loved everything. I loved meat and cheese and everything, nothing I didn't like. So I started finding these food bloggers, and I was shocked. I was looking at this food and it looked pretty amazing. And I had to feed myself for these 30 days. Long story short, I fell in love. I felt amazing, and I never stopped. And that was my 30-day reluctant. He was 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I'll give it to
2 weeks,
him.
so he
But
didn't
I
even do the
never
30
stopped.
days.
Nope. Nope.
So now is he
No.
vegan? Like, how does that work?
Nope. I have two grown sons, and they are part-time vegan because when I cook, they eat my food. They're still carnivores. I would guess I'd call them flexitarians, maybe, if that's the right word, where they cook vegan for me and I cook vegan for them, but they eat everything. If that makes sense, which I really feel proud of because unintentionally they know about food. They know what vegan is. They can veganize a meal. And you don't have to be so strict. There's a lot of vegans, I think, that live with like eaters that eat people that eat everything, pretty much. So it's more realistic. I think it's hard as a family goes, unless you're raising kids from babies to be vegan. It's more like my situation's more common. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And I
So your husband's
absolutely
also like
fell.
that? You like your son's like eats what you
Yeah, he
cook.
eats anything. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Does it make it harder for you?
No, it's not harder for me. What the hardest part for me when I turned vegan, as being a vegan, is eating out with friends, and they always feel very self-conscious. And I don't judge, obviously, because my family's not vegan, but they feel very like, what's Michelle gonna eat? And they'll scan the menu for me. And I was like, don't worry about me, like I'm good. But it does make some people feel uncomfortable. It's unintentional, and I don't want to go back to eating meat just to make them comfortable. So that's an interesting dynamic. Food bonds people. So it almost feels like people have known me for a long time. They feel there's like a slight disconnect. It's a weird thing. I can't change that, the way people feel. I'm
Yeah.
fine.
It's interesting. Like you said, like food really does connect people, but like being vegan at this point is like part of who you are. So if somebody struggles with that, then it's almost like there are some parts of you that they're not completely fine with. I don't know. I know that's like a bit of an extreme statement, especially maybe if like they've been with you, like been friends for so long and you know them for so long. But yeah, like
Mm.
you can't give it up just because they feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and like, and I also remember when I was not vegan and I'd meet somebody who was, I was the I was asking the same questions they're asking me. So I get it. You know what I mean? I'd be like, how can you do that? I could never do that. Like that was my script. I would say, God bless you. I would say that too. So I totally get it. I get both sides. So
Okay, so
yeah,
when did you
it's
like get
hard.
into like wanting to teach people about this?
Oh, because I just was so excited. I didn't never liked being in the kitchen and never liked cooking. Um, I just never liked it. And once I started cooking vegan plant-based, I fell in love with whole foods, and I was amazed that I could make these foods that I used to think were like boring and bland, like amazing, exciting. And it excited me because I love to eat, and I'd eat big portions and I didn't feel so bad like I used to feel. Like if I don't have really good stretch receptors as far as like telling me when I'm full. So I would eat like three, I could eat plates and plates of food, and then I just feel really bad afterward. When I eating plant-based, I eat a lot of food, but I don't feel, I finally get full, but I don't feel that sluggishness that I do. So I got really excited and I wanted to, and then people were curious. People were like, how do you survive? The same questions I would have. What do you eat? And so then I started Michelle's Pantry on Facebook years back, just for curious people. It was like, I just want to show you, this is what I'm eating. Like, I'm not starving. I feel so satisfied. And these are some of the foods I eat. And it's interesting because that group, I would say it's probably 70% carnivores, curious people, and maybe 30% vegetarians, vegans. It's an interesting thing.
Wow,
Curiosity.
why do you think like from a business perspective somebody would be interested in that group? Do you think they're like interested in becoming plant-based, or is it like out of pure curiosity? Like what makes someone join such a Facebook group?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think they're curious, and I also think that they've been all the noises. If you have any kind of heart issues or health issues or anything, those doctors will say you want to eat more fruits and vegetables. You want to eat more plant-based foods. Try to put that in your life. And I feel for people because all you're thinking about is, for me, like I grew up with these bland foods, and it's just like, no, I don't want to do that. Does not sound
Your
fun.
expressions then is
And so they're like,
awesome.
well, let me see what she's doing. Like, yeah, maybe they're just, so I try to show them these like delicious meals that are all plants, made with all plant-based foods, just to help them not be so scared. Because when I was on that 30-day thing, my mind was telling me that I couldn't do things. I may faint from lack of dairy and meat. That was programming, but I didn't know that. I literally felt sick. I would be like, I can't go. I saw like my husband, we were like jogging. I can't jog. I don't have enough nutrients in my body. Like that was my programming. And
Right,
then
right.
started watching Game Changers, and I learned, and actually I'm a faster runner. I was like better. I was more efficient. So it was really interesting journey for
Oh
me.
my God,
So
so cool. It's like what we feel like really becomes like from our thoughts. So like you said, right? Like we have this belief just because we've been told our whole lives that like you need to drink milk, and if not, you're not gonna have calcium and you won't be able to like grow your bones, and who knows what, that like that's why you can't run, right? But
yeah,
you
yeah.
afterwards people like literally feel sick, and so many times like we have that, like people feel sick just because of that. But let's get into your launch, because like I am like really curious about it, because I know it's like such a real story of like what actually happens in an entrepreneur's life. So what made you decide to do this launch? Let's start there.
Okay. So I've always had an entrepreneurial, I'll call it, heart. Like I've always wanted to do my own thing. I love doing recordings, and I'm like, how can I turn this into, like, I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm not that far from retirement. So I work full time, and I would love to, do courses, do live courses, and make some money doing what I love. as you hear, if you're, this is a, you know, people watching are probably like, oh, they've heard it, do what you love and you'll make money. So I'm like, how can I turn this love and what I've learned into something I can sell? So I've been trying to do it on my own, little bit here. And, you know, and if anybody's watching can relate, you may create something and then you put it out there one time and you're like, oh my gosh, nobody likes it. Like nobody clicked on it or whatever, but it takes a lot to get. So there's so much distraction out there. You have to put yourself out there a lot and put your offer out there a lot. And I felt like I couldn't do it all by myself. So I did my course. I launched it last summer. I got a few sales.
A course, just like I said, I interrupt. A course like a
No
pre-recorded things for people to like buy and watch whenever they want.
Yes. And
Where is that? Just by the way, in case people are listening and they're interested in it.
Yeah, check it out at thekitchenwitchenergyshift.com. That's my website, thekitchenwitchenergyshift.com. I have one course. I poured my heart and soul into it. It's all about how I use my energy to make magic in the kitchen versus I used to hate being in the kitchen, but it's fun. I love it.
So even if you're not vegan, you could use that course.
Exactly. It's not vegan because that's only a small portion of it. When I talk about alchemy and cooking, intuitive cooking and alchemy, there's a plant-based lean, but it's just a lean. It's not, you can apply it to anything.
Okay, so you did this course. How long ago did you do this course about?
Last summer. Poured my heart into it. I just locked myself for 6 months and made this course. And I was really excited. I finished it. And then I'm like, now how do I lift this ginormous plane off the ground and like let the masses know what it is? And I struggled with that. I felt it's hard when you put something out there and you don't get any response. It takes a lot of energy. And so that was last summer. And I said, I got to have a life too. So working full time, this is my part-time thing. Do my weekly newsletter, not a great sales isn't my strong point. Maybe a lot of people can relate to that too. I'm not a natural seller. So I thought about it and I thought, you know what, Michelle, maybe you should hire some people to help you, because the more days you go by not doing anything, you're not doing anything. Invest in it, do a real launch, hire people that have done it. So you don't have to guess about it. So I hired a copywriter who connected me with a Facebook ads person. And we worked on this for 4 months. I'll tell you what my launch was, my workshop. It was a live free workshop called Crafting an Enchanted Vegan Kitchen. And it's awesome. It's its own course in itself, but I was giving it for free. I had over 300 signups because I was
Hold on. You're saying so much at a time. 1 second. So you had this course, this launch, you wanted to do a launch that would be a live workshop. And what was the point of it? That just to give people free value? What did you want people to buy after?
But I wanted them to buy my course, The Kitchen Witch Energy Shift, but they had to get
the course
to know
that you
me.
already made. Now that original course, anybody bought that previously? Like just a little bit or nothing previously?
A handful, a small amount.
Yeah. That people like knew you or listened to your podcast or Facebook group.
People who didn't know me. I must have didn't know me. It's like a few people that didn't know me, a couple people that did know me. So it was like 50, it was like a 50-50.
And which was kind of cool from your group, like you're from Facebook, like
the two people didn't even know me. So that was like a quick validation. I'm like, whoa, so something struck a chord with them. They don't know me. They're not in my Facebook group. They're not on my email list. They're not in my world. They read something that I wrote about it and they bought it. And that was important because it was validating.
Right.
It's
not just like
I answered the call.
Yes. Okay, that's a really important piece for people listening. Yes. Okay, so you know that people are actually interested in this. So that's when you said, okay, now I need to do a proper launch to get more people into this course that you've spent 6 months working on. And you hired the copywriter and Facebook ad to put together ads for you to run this live workshop so more people get into the course. Right?
Yeah. And yes. And I was like, is this, what am I going to do? Sit on this course, just have it like collecting dust. It's a great course and I wanted to sell it. I also wanted to create a membership because I love kitchen witchery and all that stuff. So I I had all these ideas and I said, I gotta hire people. I can't do this part-time after work. I'm just exhausted. So they did great. The copywriter helped me with the whole, if you're watching and you're in business, the launch, email sequencing,
Yes.
Social media post, they did surveys. They mined the information about my audience, very valuable information. What was the pain points of people who would be interested in my course? And my course is weird. It's not like anything out there. It's not like it's a plant-based cooking course that you could look at 10 others. Like I'm doing kitchen witch energy shifting, which is like, you can't find another one like it to compare. But anyways, they did a great job. We ran the Facebook ads.
So let's discuss 1 second. How did you promote it? Facebook ads? Yeah.
Yes, we stuck with Facebook, just Facebook.
But you said you have your email list, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have your email list and okay. So just share, like I'm just interrupting.
Yeah. No problem. I have a really small email list. So I thought to myself, when I do this launch, if nothing else, I'll be expanding my email list. More people are gonna get to know me. So as I said earlier, I'm a yogi, so I'm not attached to I had to remind myself not to be attached to a specific outcome. Just the fact that I was going forward and putting myself in a new place with this course was super important to me, because you'll know if you keep repeating the same thing over and over and nothing's happening for you, you've got to do something you got to shift, you got to do something different. So I said, I'm going to do a big different. I'm going to pull out all the stops and invest some money. I hired people, like I said.
I hired people about how much money. You don't have to answer.
Thousands of dollars, a few $1,000s.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Like proper investment, right? Like not just like, oh, I'm gonna do this. Right.
Yeah, I hired a copywriter and I hired a Facebook ads person. Plus the investment in the Facebook ads.
Yes.
Because I had never done a Facebook ad. So if you know anything about that, when you're establishing your Facebook ad, you're cold. You got a lot, you're actually going to cost more money until Facebook gets to know you. And I learned that was an important lesson, because the next time I do it, if I do ads again, my ad cost will be lower, because there's a pixel that Facebook gets to know you. They get your target audience faster.
Exactly. Okay. So you spend a lot of money and a lot of time on this. And
a lot of money, a lot of time, up at 5 a.m. because my copywriter and my Facebook ad people were in India. I hired people I didn't know. I took a huge leap of faith. I don't know who they are. I didn't know if they were going to come through for me. But you know what? Sometimes you just have to say, this is a ride or die thing. Like how long are you gonna drag your feet until you find the perfect person? Who's the perfect person? I don't know. And they did pleasantly surprise me. They showed up at 5. I mean, they showed up at 5 a.m. For them, it was 3 in the afternoon. I don't know. I used to know it by heart but I got myself up. We spent an hour before I have a 9-to-5 job, but my 8-to-5 job, we spent an hour, multiple days, going through scripting and copywriting and ads, and I did videos, I did video ask, I did so much stuff. And I created essentially another course, which is the crafting an enchanted vegan workshop, which felt so much like last summer when I created this signature course. I thought, well, if nothing else, I have a whole other course anyways, with a recipe book, a five vegan meal and shopping list. So it was like I was creating this like massive content for free.
For free, people, okay? Listen to this. Yes.
Yeah. And but when you commit, when you pay attention. I'm sure you all heard this before. It's so true. Because if I didn't pay, I could have pulled out of this, because it was mornings and evenings. I said, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Is this whatever? It's a roller coaster ride. So I invested, I had to follow through. I had all those sleepless nights of self-doubt, imposter syndrome. I had, oh my gosh, all these things. Thank goodness I hired people that were good people that were up with me in the middle of the night and in the morning and all. Anyways,
How many people registered? Let's like bring to the thing. Yeah, how many people registered?
Over 300 people registered. And my Facebook person said, typically I do a 10 to 10 week minimum to get a new person out there. I pushed him down to 8 weeks because we had kept, the first workshop was going to be March. It pushed to end of March, beginning of April, mid-April, end of April, May. And finally I said, that's it. I'm drawing a line in the sand. We are doing this workshop on May 9th. Come hell or high water, we're doing it. And everybody was like, oh, you know, full steam ahead. And he said, oh my gosh, I really want 10 days of Facebook ads. And you only giving me 7. Those 3 days I said, listen, I'm not postponing this anymore. We're doing it. We got over.
I love how you stuck to your guns. I love how you stuck to your guns, right? Like so many times, like the experts, I'm not saying he's not an expert at Facebook ads, but like, especially you and like intuition, and you know this, like there is a time and place, like you've got to stand up for yourself and you've got to stand up for your business.
You have to. Yeah, exactly. And that was because I was wavering back and forth. And finally, your gut will say, like, you're making a move here, or you're not. Like, because the more weeks that went by, the more anxiety was filling up, more self-doubt. You know that too, right? The more you have time to think about it, you're like, well, maybe, no, forget it. Maybe it's bad. Maybe I'll rewrite the script. You have all these crazy thoughts. So for my own sanity, I had to make a date. And
even with only 7 days instead of 10 days, you still got over 300 people. That's like
a
really nice number.
We thought it was. He was really happy. We were super excited. And, you know, so we were trying out this new webinar type software, I'm used to Zoom, do everything on Zoom, but this new webinar software you could do polls, super fun. So you can do like a quick poll while you're in a webinar being like, what's your favorite kitchen style vibe, you know, country cottage, and you can and people are answering and you're watching it. It was really cool. They had some cool bells and whistles to it. So
do you recommend it now to other people?
I'm not sure. I can't tell. There were some people that had problems logging in. At the day, even my actual best friend said, Michelle, I tried to get in and the link wouldn't take me to where it needed to go. And she had, I thought, the same link as everybody else. So I didn't know where the disconnect was. So I'm not sure I couldn't get the data from this platform. I couldn't get the data back saying, well, let me look at the email bounce back. So let me look at the emails that were successful. That was that didn't give me the warm and fuzzies, I guess, because I'm used to looking at an email batch that goes out and seeing who clicked, you know what I mean? So I didn't have that data.
So how many people actually were able to show up?
30 out of over 200. Wow. Only 30 people showed up. And we did, the sequence was workshop. See you at the workshop tomorrow. You'll get your recipe book tomorrow. 1 hour till the whole sequence was set up. As far as I could tell, the sequence was set up in this off of my main email platform. It was on this webinar platform and it was sequenced. So like a day before, people would get reminders. It was mentioned as people weren't showing up, that text is a new way that a lot of people will get a text on their phone saying workshops in an hour versus people don't check their emails as much. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go back a little bit on my story and say, you don't know, you can't have everything perfect. Sometimes you just have to do it. Because if somebody suggested, you know, maybe wait and set up a text thing or set up this bell and whistle and that bell and whistle. Sometimes you just have to run your launch, understand it's your first or whatever launch, doesn't matter if your first or your 50th launch. Every time you do it, you'll learn something. And I definitely learned a lot. So I thought maybe I would invest in like a text, just making sure that extra layer of like it could have got an extra 50 people, even an extra 20 people to show up. If they got a text on their phone and they were just sitting watching TV and they were like, oh, click the link. How can, you know, the path of least resistance is what we do, right? That's what we how we're built. So when oh my gosh, so my friends in India, my wonderful friends in India, they got up at 3 a.m. because my workshop was 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they got up at 3 a.m. So that was, again, I super grateful for their help in their commitment to me, because they set their alarm clock to wake up to be with me on, because it was just me. And I couldn't answer the questions, weird links. You know, you want to have a partner if you're doing a live workshop it's a big launch for you. You want to have somebody that can be your watching the chat. Somebody says, I don't see a link, and you're in your flow of teaching. You can't be like, hold on, everybody, let me find this
Fix
link.
this link. Yeah.
Yeah, let me fix this link. So it was super helpful to have that. And to me, in all honesty, I didn't understand this platform, so I couldn't see if there were, I could see people talking and stuff. So that was exciting for me. I didn't know it was 30 or 300. I didn't know. So it
Didn't
was
know
really
until
good.
afterwards. Wow.
No, it's
Maybe
so
that's
in a
better,
lot of
right?
ways, that could mess with your head. You're just like, you know, you start thinking like you're trying to teach and you're thinking, where are all the people? How come, you know, your brain can just like go weird places. So my ignorance was super bliss, because I had some really engaging people I never met before, people from all across the United States. And that super excited me. Like, to me, major win. Like, first of all, I was doing it. I was doing the thing. When the launch hit, oh my gosh, the few days before the launch is, oh my gosh, just so surreal, because you're so scared and you're just, but when you finally hit that button and you go live, something in you activates, something in you turns on, and you're on, and you know, you fly or you scramble. It starts off a little sketchy, but then you find yourself, you find your voice, and you know what, no matter what, follow through, even if this is two people show up and it's a test run for you. Super important test run, super important. So yeah, my launch didn't go as awesome as I would plan. The workshop itself was awesome. My friends in India, they're honest with me, and other people that were there were just like, that was superb. You know, he was like, I was up with you active. It's a guy too. He's not even my target audience. And he was just like, you were amazing, fantastic. I had so much fun watching you. He's like, I really didn't know what to expect. And I got a lot of great emails after, people just saying like, you really nice things, people I don't know. And I felt really good. What you want to do is check in with yourself too, because I felt I was on cloud 9 the entire time. I was just in my flow, that feeling when you're in your flow and you're saying from your heart, and you're like, I believe in, obviously I have like witchy energy, but I believe that you're guided by energy even higher than yourself, unless it's like your most aligned self comes through when you release all your expectations, do the thing that you love, say what you believe, don't worry about what other people are thinking, and just be your best at that moment. And that's exactly how I felt. I just felt amazing. I felt brave. It took a ton of courage for me to create something from nothing. Like, no matter what you do, when you're a creator, think about that. You're creating something, maybe even if somebody's done something similar, they're not doing it exactly like you. You're putting your own voice and special touch on it, your own experience in it. And it's just the act of you doing that is it's so powerful for your self-development, for your soul. I think it's like your soul feels good. You know, you sleep better. You're like, I let it, let myself
You're
be. And
creating, right? Like you're doing what humans are meant to be doing. Yes.
yeah.
That's so
So
awesome. Okay, so during the time of the actual workshop, you're on cloud 9, people are loving it, everything's going. You have no idea that there's only 30 people there, but never mind. Can we just talk for a minute? 30 people for our first launch is a lot of people. I'm just like putting it out there because like I've literally done things when I started where like 0 people would even sign up. So like I want to put that out there for people to, I'm not saying, like, I know for you, obviously that was a big thing. I'm not putting down what happened there, but for people listening, like if you have 30 people, that's a really good start. So what happened? Like during and the end of the workshop, you sold people into your course. Like, how did you transition into the sale part?
Well, right up until almost like the moment I hit record or live, I was tweaking my course. I was learning like my sales part of it. It was like, if you guys are watching it and you do, what do we want to call it? The framework for a sales webinar, there's a framework to it. And you want to tell people, I'm selling the course, but I want you to get to know me. I want to give you a flavor of it. And if you'd like to stay around for the end, I've got an offer for you, and so at that offer for you, I thought I was on point. I thought I did a really good job on my offer that, it had $100 off coupon. I had 4 major bonuses. I was going to do a whole live workshop in May. I felt like I offered a lot. And so I couldn't, and when you're doing it, you don't know. I mean, it's not like you hear cash registers dinging. So you don't know, you go all in, just go all in. And then, when I finished, what was crazy about it too? 2-hour workshop. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, you think like, how am I going to fill 2 hours? People are not going to hang out with me for 2 hours. I thought, but these are the experts. Like I hired people that said they need to get to know you. They don't want to hear you selling something. They want to see what you're about. They want to feel a value. And if they really like you, they will stick around till the end. And that's how you know it's like real. So that's just like kind of stressing me out to be live for 2 hours. But you know what? You got to do it. I landed it. I finished at 7:52. I could not believe it because I didn't really practice it as much as I thought I was gonna. I had all these things. I'm gonna practice every night. I'm gonna have this stuff. I was still like tweaking stuff like right before I went live. And I thought if there was so many things personally I felt proud of. Like I didn't have major sales. I really didn't have any sales, but I had major wins for my, I guess, self-development, would you say? Or I can put that, I don't know, is it a checkbox? Is a tick on your box, a notch in your belt to say, I went live for 2 hours. I pulled a workshop together. I did a sales. I went and did all the things. And it was incredibly, I want to say, if transformational is not the word I'm looking for, it was an up level of self, like something I've always wondered what it would feel like. I put all my heart, all my energy into it. I did it and I didn't disappoint myself. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah, totally. Like you set a goal or a commitment for yourself and you follow through. No matter how much imposter syndrome messages you heard to yourself, no matter how many times you just like want to be like, I'm not going to be able to do this. Like you girl did it. That was so awesome. So after the live, like at what point, what happened then? So like you finish a live, you're on cloud 9, and then what? You're like waiting, you're checking your registers, like how did what happened?
I'm checking. First when it ended, I was on like a high. Literally, you feel like as close as I can say, like you're on this like adrenaline high. Like there's all sorts of chemicals happening. I'm not scientific, but I know that, right? There's like all sorts of like happy chemicals are happening.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just like boom, like you're just like a transformer of energy gonna explode, and you just it's an experience I would like everybody to have. Because it's a sense of accomplishment and a follow through and the success on that level. And I get extremely energized by people, like just being with you. With my energy an hour ago, no, it was like I said, this is like my Monday. I was like, when I connect with people, my energy goes up here. So I had all these people and we were plugging into each other. So I was like on like major energy high. So he shut everything down and I went upstairs to my husband and he's waiting because he knows he's been watching me for 4 months do this, and it's all quiet up there. So how did it go? And I told him, I was like, I feel amazing. I said, but just all quiet. And I was like, then you're like, now, like, because you've been working on for months, and then it stops. Then I'm like, I just checked my emails, and and really nothing was happening. My friend India, he was checking, helping, like looking at statistics and all that stuff, because he, as a Facebook ads person, that's his, like, what were the statistics. So he was doing that. I was winding down, and I didn't see anything, but we had this thing where we were going to offer it. It was like by midnight the next night, so it gives people to watch the replay. Because remember, I had over 200 people register, so then you're thinking I can't make it there's so much awesome content on. I sign up for stuff all the time. I end up watching the replay a lot, or I don't
Right,
stream.
like life happens. Not always could we like just doing what we wanted
Yeah,
to do.
so
Yeah.
right, it's not always convenient. So I'm like, all right, people are gonna watch the replay, get a few sales. I got some really lovely emails from people, made me feel nice, made me cry, because really sweet things people were saying, but did not get a sale. And it was this, there was a little bit of like dropping in your stomach, like, wow, that was like that I just thought I'd get like a handful again. I thought at least out of 300 people, because that math didn't make sense. I did a quiet little one email launch, and I got a few people, like 4 people on a quiet little launch, and I did this massive thing, and I didn't get anything. Like the numbers, it just didn't make any sense. But I felt really excited that I finished it. So I was on this weird, like happy, but like what happened kind of a thing. And so then I had these, I wouldn't say I guess it was disappointment, but I couldn't be
Yeah.
disappointed in myself. So I didn't know who I was disappointed at, or like what I would have done different. I guess I couldn't see what I would have done different. So then I had to tell myself, take some time off, like well-deserved time off,
Yeah.
and step away. So I'm actually in that, because like it's May 30th, right? So I did this on May 9th. So I'm still kind of like, ooh, I'm in this weird place, like, what
Taking a break.
next? So
Yeah.
yes, taking a break, enjoying summer, Memorial Day we just had, enjoying out there, but I'm in a weird place now, because I say what next, and my intuition saying, have an awesome summer, just enjoy your summer. You worked your tail off for the past 4 months, every morning, every night, it was all you were wrapped up in it. And it's part of what I also teach, is that listening to your intuition, taking time for yourself, reevaluating, because the person I was even 1 month ago is not the person I am today, because right, so many things have
Yeah.
happened. And I love thinking that. I love hitting the reset button, because I have a new opportunity with you. Actually, our cells are changing, our body's changing, our opportunities are changing. You don't know who you're going to meet tomorrow, so we're kind of always kind of reevaluating like next steps. And I think I'm right now leaving space for magic.
I like that. Leaving space for magic. That's so awesome, right? Like we need to leave that space so that way it could actually happen. But I'm curious, like on a personal level, what's like your biggest one or two takeaways like for the future? Um, what went well, what you would do different. I don't know if it's too early to ask that question, and maybe after your awesome summer, I should ask it again. Um, but what do you say?
Well, simplify. I think 2 things. When you put the work in, when you put the work in, and it's something you feel proud of, it's never a waste. Because at the end of this, I have this great workshop that I could actually sell it. The time and the value you put in is always useful, and you can always kind of not recycle the right word, or
Repurpose.
if you repurpose it. But I do believe you need to step away from it for a bit. I think there's space away from it, and then coming back to something with fresh eyes,
Right.
you're gonna get a whole all new ideas. So I would say, rather than when you're feeling that like you're not sure what to do, maybe misaligned, step away, do something fun, get back into your alignment, do something fun, and then come back to it and feel that excitement that you had. Something got you excited. There's a reason you created it in the beginning. There was excitement, there was something there, but when you're in that forest, you can't see the trees type thing. So I would say you're not gonna, when you put good value into something, it's never a waste of time. And definitely you need to switch gears. You need to go do something fun. This was fun. It always starts out fun. Like, doesn't it always start out like really fun and exciting? And then you start doing the real work and you're working. So just make sure you do something really fun, like what a girls' weekend, or go bike riding, go something completely different. So you're giving your mind that space to love that thing back again when you come back to it and see it in a whole new light. It's just a different energy. Gosh, and then I think what I was going to do is do a workshop right away afterwards, because I felt a bit on a roll. But then I thought, pull back, because you have to create that first thing, and then you want to look at it with fresh eyes and even make it a little bit better, just even a smidge better, right? Or give it an offshoot, like weird things, like give it room to breathe and grow. Don't smother it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what happens with that. But in my gut, I know something's telling me you got to step away a bit, allow yourself some fun, and see what happens. I mean, I know something will happen. If you're an entrepreneurial heart and soul, don't worry about falling out of alignment. You will be back. Like, it's part of your DNA. Like, don't worry. I've had that thing like, well, if I step away for a few weeks or even like the summer, like I'm going to fall behind. No, you won't. It's in you. It might even just be even more fresh and revitalized. So if that makes any sense. I love the idea that I did the webinar, and every time you do that thing live, or that scary thing, you are just gonna get better and better at it. You just are, right? I mean, I'm sure you can attest to it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
there
excited. I
we
don't know
can
what's
get
gonna happen.
better at like just watching and reading, listening to podcasts and watching YouTubes, and like that's not what's going to make us better. That's what might help us learn about it, so that way we can actually go implement it. But until you actually implement it, you can't actually get better at it, right? Like, you don't learn how to swim reading books on how to swim.
No, and it's scary. And I'm going to tell you, I've done lives, I've done workshops, I've done things. I think it's the scary is the scary, but that is the growth. When people tell you, if it's scary on your path, the other going through and stepping into it and the other side, it's a feeling like you're just like, what now? What else can I do? You know, it's exciting because you knock down that barrier. You're a different person, and there isn't a failed launch unless you don't show up. I guess even if
Yes,
you don't show
yes.
up,
Say that again. Say that
no,
again. Hold on.
there isn't a failed launch, and I was going to say unless you don't show up. But what will happen if you don't show up, and you know this, you'll be so mad at yourself. So a few times when I'm like, you know what, I don't know, maybe you feel like a kid, like I'm going to run away. I don't think I can do it. I think this is horrible. What was I thinking? And then you say, you know how mad you know how mad you will be at yourself if you don't show up. Like, I don't want to face that girl. So I'd rather, you
Holding
know what I mean? It's
yourself
like, I'd rather go
accountable.
do it than have to face myself the next day and have not done it. So that's a good tool that I use. Is I think I also think a lot as I get older that, what would my 80-year-old self say to me? She'd say, do the thing. I'll be right here later, and I'll be looking back at what you did, and just do the thing. Like,
Yeah, like we're not going to regret things we didn't try. We regret the things that like we didn't take action on, right? Yeah.
exactly. So
Yes.
if you're out there and you're watching and you're afraid of something, you're afraid of like failing, or it's not going to work out. It's not going to be a failure. It's not. It's just stepping stone toward your next big thing. And they might be a little step that's scary, or might be you're taking a big leap. Either way, it's going to be exhilarating. You can say that you stepped into the arena, like Nay Brown says, who can judge you if you had the courage to step in and try it? It's a lot of people would never even allow
Yeah.
themselves to even entertain the thought of following their dreams. So, and like you said at the beginning, I don't know if you were recording, but a lot of people see the awesome things like, oh, I had a 100K launch, or I had before all those, there were probably a lot of no-shows and disappointments. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I appreciate your story so much because it's such a real story. And I know like every single person either could relate to it because they had it in the past, or they're going it through right now, or they're starting a launch and they're feeling it. Like if you're an entrepreneur on some level, in some ways, like this is just like you can't get more real than that. And I really appreciate you like sharing every part of the story and like not holding anything back. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you for having me. I like sharing it. It feels good because I know there are people just, either in different stages before, during, after, and you're not alone. Like just keep going and have fun, right? Thank you so much for
Yes.
having me.
Have fun and create some magic, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.